Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. My name's Tanya, and today I'm making some apple butter. I didn't plan on making apple butter, but went to my local Kroger store, which isn't in our town. It's in a town about, 30 miles away. It was kind of a date for me and my husband. I get excited to go to Kroger. But they had these apples in their markdown section. I always look for these little red bags. They have a certain section that everything in a bag is 99 cents. And if I can find organic ones, then that means I'm doing something with them. So we got 3 Granny Smiths, 2 Galas, and a Honeycrisp. So that's gonna make a good mixture for our apple butter. I'm gonna show you how to make that with absolutely no sugar involved. It will be sweetened with honey, but only if you want it to be a little bit sweeter. So the first thing we're gonna do, I'm gonna show you what this tag has on it. This is how you know that, other than it says organic, if you just have a number, it's gonna begin with a 9. So this is our Honeycrisp, and it begins with a 9. All of them begin with 9, and all of them say organic on there, but sometimes you get a tag that doesn't say organic and it just has a number, so that's your key to knowing if it's something organic. But I'm gonna start off washing these really well. I have some warm soapy water in this bowl, and we're gonna give these a good scrub with the scrubber sponge, and then let them dry, and then we'll be right back, and I'll show you our spice mixture that we're gonna add to it. We're gonna make this in the slow cooker. This is the best apple butter ever. I've never had a complaint about it. People say, I don't really like apple butter that much. They take one bite and they go, maybe I do like apple butter that much. But normally the ones you get at the store are just overly sweet, and so we'll be right back and I'll show you how to make some that's not. So in this little bowl, we're gonna put our seasoning in here, and then take it over there to our slow cooker. After we get our apples chopped up and put in the slow cooker, we'll dump this right on top of it. So the first thing we want is salt. And I just kind of wrote down my list of ingredients over here a while ago. We have about 6 apples, 6 pretty good size, well, not about, we have 6 apples and they're pretty good size. So your average size apples, we're gonna put about like a heaping 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and I know that probably sounds like a lot, but for some reason the salt just enhances that sweetness of the apples. I can't explain it, but I'm here to tell you it's the truth. All right, to that we're also going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and I would encourage you, if you don't have any fresh nutmeg, to go out and buy you one. They are not expensive, and they look like, the whole ones just look like this. They look like a little, let me see if I'm getting this in the shot. Yeah, they almost look like a little pecan with no stripes on it. So I have one that I've been grating already. We'll get about 1/4 teaspoon of that. And a lot of this just depends on your preference. If you like the taste of nutmeg, use a lot. And if you don't like the taste of it, use little or none at all. But I prefer the taste of nutmeg in my apple butter. Now, some of you might be thinking, what's the difference in apple sauce and apple butter? Well, it's that apple sauce is just simply crushed apples. That's just all it is. There's nothing more to it. Unless you get the kind that has sugar in it, which is a lot of them on the market, and then you have apples with sugar or cinnamon in it if you get the cinnamon flavored ones. But apple butter has all these different things. It's almost like the center of an apple pie, but super smooth and so good. But to slather this on a hot biscuit, it might make you a true Southerner, even if you've never visited the South, much less lived there. Now, my husband likes apple butter on his French toast. So I'd never heard of that, but he did not grow up necessarily in the South, so that's maybe something from where he grew up. I don't know. And my washing machine just went off, so that helps with the noise level in here. And you might not can hear it, but I can. All right, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and then we have about 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Maybe a little bit less. We'll go with a little bit less than 1/4 teaspoon. Cloves are pretty strong. I'll be brave and add a little bit more. So again, just a little bit less than 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Here's the ground cloves. And then our cinnamon, we'll be super brave with it and use a full teaspoon of cinnamon. There are different kinds of cinnamon, but just choose the one that you like best. Some are spicy, some are sweet. Not sweet flavor, but a sweet fragrance. And a sweet flavor, but without the sugar, of course. I'm going to use 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. This is one of my favorite spices. Used to as a kid, I'd be like, what is that? Just a bunch of spices that fell on the floor and they put them all together and called it allspice. Well, it's not really. Allspice is a berry, and it's a great flavor. So almost 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. And I grated some ginger here a while back, and I told my husband it was in there so he could put it in some tea, and he didn't do it, so I'm just going to use it for this. So about 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ginger. I'm not necessarily a fan of dried ginger just because it just doesn't have a lot of taste to it. But fresh ginger has great taste to it. Okay, let's make sure I have everything on there. Okay, now, once we get everything in there, we will add honey, and this is just my big jug of honey there that I keep in that. And then about a teaspoon of lemon juice. This will just kind of brighten the flavor up. It might help retain some of the color of the apples, but at this point it really doesn't matter because you're going to have cinnamon and allspice in there and cloves that's dark, and it's going to make it look dark anyway, so don't worry about trying to retain the color of your apples. But that's going to brighten that flavor up. Okay, let's go there. We're going to cut up our apples and put in our slow cooker now. Back over here at the sink area. I said when I started this YouTube channel that I was going to even show things that were the most basic of basics, that some of us sit back and go, seriously, you think I don't know how to do that? Because there's somebody out there who doesn't. Just like I did the video of ironing pants and ironing shirts, and somebody said, thank you for showing me how to iron. There's people that don't know how to do things that some of us think are just a given, and they're too embarrassed to ask. Possibly because our reaction to it. I have a dog wanting out the door. She can't decide if she wants out in the sunroom in here. So I'm just going to show you real quick on one of these how I cut up apples, but I won't bore you with the whole process. So we're going to cut it in quarters like that. So here's half and here's a quarter. We're going to take and cut the center of it out. I might go do this down here and show it better. We're just going to cut that center part out just like that. And it doesn't matter if you chop these up small or you leave them whole. They're going to cook down. Do not peel them. You've washed them. We're not going to peel them. Dump it in there. If you find a spot on it that you don't feel comfortable using, then by all means get rid of it. But otherwise, just put them all in there, just like that. Okay, I'm going to chop these up, and then we'll be right back. This probably did not take, I don't know, 5-6 minutes. It goes really fast, especially when you're not chopping them up in little pieces. All right, we'll put our slow cooker in the insert. Slide it over here because we're going to plug it in. But first, I want to put about a teaspoon of lemon juice. If you have fresh lemon juice, that's great. But I buy this Santa Cruz because my lemons always look kind of sad when they sit in the refrigerator too long. And I'd rather just have easily accessible lemon juice. Here is our spice mixture. Now you don't necessarily have to mix this in. You're not going to toss them on the apples or anything. Just dump it right on the top, just like that. Make sure you get all of it out of the container. And then I'm going to spoon about 2 tablespoons of honey over this. Now when these cook down, it's going to look considerably less volume than what it looks right now, of course, but we can take an immersion blender or something like that, or you could even take a spoon probably and stir it, and it's not going to have the super fine consistency it would if you used an immersion blender. But you could always put it in a food processor or a regular blender and just process it and make it super smooth. I'm going to turn this on high, get it to a good high temperature, and then I'm going to put it on low. And this will probably cook for most of the day. And depending on, it really truly depends on what kind of apples you have, how many apples you have in there, what the volume is. If you have a big giant slow cooker and you have it full of apples, it may take considerably longer, but it does not take like 10 or 12 hours. This might take maybe 4, 6 hours, something like that. I don't know if that lid's on there, but I gotta check it again. But we're just gonna plug this in, let it cook, and I have a plastic lid for my slow cooker, and I don't like the plastic. I don't like the plastic getting hot and being in my kitchen, so I found a lid from a different container that fits perfectly, and it's glass. So, plug it in, turn it on high for right now, then we'll come back and turn it on low in just a bit, and then I'll come back when this is done, but I haven't processed it yet with the immersion blender, and let you see how it is. Oh, so badly wish you could smell it when it starts cooking and just filling the room with a good smell of apple. It smells like an apple pie cooking. So we'll be back in just a bit. So our apples are all done. I just took a knife and kind of poked in them, and it's obvious they're done. I really didn't have to poke at them with a knife. All right, let's set this aside. I'm gonna put this in something just because there's steam underneath it. I don't know why that makes me feel better. All right, let's plug in our immersion blender. If you do not have an immersion blender, don't feel like you have to buy an expensive one. I think this is a pretty nice one. My mother bought this for me back years ago, but they have them for like 20 bucks in places. Seriously, most of them work great. I don't know what you could have a complaint about. It's gonna cut things. It has a blade inside it that is incredibly sharp, and then it has these little vents right here to where it kind of sucks the liquid in and blows it out the edges. So it's just a neat little thing to have. So you can see all this liquid that's in there. Let me see if I can get it with this camera. See all that liquid that's in there? And that was from adding no liquid whatsoever to the container itself. This is just, it's just apples and the moisture from the apples. So that's the peels. Now remember, we took the core, the seeds, the stem, and all that stuff out, but it still has the peels on there. And you just want to pulse this to begin with. That's just the directions for it. That's what they tell you to do. Now a lot of you might be saying, where's the butter part? It doesn't have butter in it. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why apple butter is the name. It just is. So it pulls the food in, and then it kind of sprays out these little vents on the side. So you don't want to put your face too close to the bowl because it might come back out at you. But this tool is so handy. Okay, now's the time I need to taste test it just to make sure I have enough salt in it. That's awesome. I really wish you could taste it. The smell in here, it just smells like a grandma's house at a holiday in the winter. I'm not a grandma, but I don't mind my house smelling like that. That's for sure. And to clean these things are really easy. You put them in a bowl of soapy water and plug it in and pulse it. It's clean. Then you just kind of clean the outside of it as you would anything else. All right, let's set this aside. And I have jars over here that we're going to put the apple butter in, and then I'll label them. So let's get our ladle. This may or may not be the one that I want to use. Not sure. There's our metal funnel. This looks like baby food. It's just that smooth. And I don't want to put it in there too deep because if these get in a part of the refrigerator that freezes, I don't want them to explode. Put the lid on that, and that's what our apple butter looks like. Of course, we're going to let these cool off and then we'll store them in the fridge, but this is going to be fabulous on toast or biscuit or French toast or even topping ice cream or something like that. This is really good. So if you can find apples at a bargain right now, like I did at my local Kroger, or if you just want to pay full price for them, this stuff's worth it. It really is. It's a good way to have apples all year long, and now's a good time to heat your house up with the help of a slow cooker and not have to worry about it fighting your air conditioner, and then you can have apple butter all year long. So thanks for joining us, and we look forward to sharing something with you again real soon. Look for the recipe in the description. It'll tell you all about the spices, but you're just going to kind of have to play with this and see what is a good taste for you. So thanks for joining us, guys. Bye.